Hello folks, welcome back to Outdoors with Bud. I'm your host, Bud Fields. I apologize, I was planning on actually having this segment 3 or 4 weeks ago, but I come down sick, and the muzzleloader season in Indiana is now over. But I've covered so far hunting with a recurve bow, a compound bow, and a crossbow, and today I'd like to discuss muzzleloader hunting with you. Now, muzzleloaders is not really all that new. Back from the days of Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett, when they had the old flintlock muzzleloaders and their black powder, it has come such a long way now that the first muzzleloader I ever had would not hold a candle to the one I'm going to show you today. Now, muzzleloader hunting is a lot of fun. You only get one shot, and which I like. Now, hunting with a high power rifle, you can have a pump gun, you can have a bolt action, you can have a semi-automatic. You only get one shot with a muzzleloader. And normally, if you miss with that, it makes such a loud noise, the deer is going to be going. There has been very few times over the years that I've hunted with a muzzleloader that I've gotten more than one shot at a deer. I think I just missed the deer, and he didn't figure out where the shot come from. It spooked him. He started to run off. He didn't know which way to run. He ran over here, then he stopped and looked back to where he was, and that was when I got my second shot. But the muzzleloader I'm going to show you today, it's a 50 caliber. It's made by the CVA company. That's a Connecticut Valley Arms. This one is the Acura 2. It's got a telescope on the top. It's got illuminated reticles. I can turn and light up. It's like an X crosshair in it. I can turn a switch one way. I can turn that from black. I can make it red. I turn it the opposite way. It turns into like a chartreuse green, and that's for like lower light conditions. The only thing is, you've never figured out a way to light up the deer when it's dark. You can hear them walking down there. You can't see, but you cannot legally shoot until certain times of the day anyway. But I always like having that option in case I'm out there hunting in the woods in the thick cover in a swamp. Maybe it's an overcast day. The lighting's not all that good, and the deer comes in. The deer is going to be fairly dark, and if you've got a black crosshair, you're not going to be able to see where you're aiming. Now, with this particular model, I can actually break it down. Now, inside of here, right inside of the barrel, there's what they call a breech plug. It's got a little hole in it, and what you do, you use what they call a 209 primer. It's a shotgun primer, and it's made for the inline muzzleloaders. Now, a lot of the other muzzleloaders that we've talked about in the past, like the Hawken and the ones like that, they were not inline. They had had a side hammer on them, and you had to really be careful on damp days if it's raining or if it was snowing. If there was any moisture got in there around that cap, it would misfire. You would not get to shoot it. But now, since they've got them inline, it's much, much better. But like I say, I know this is difficult to see, but this is a little tiny primer. Right inside of your breech plug, there's a little hole there. This primer just sits right down inside of that hole. I'm not going to put it all the way in there, but you put that in that hole and you push it in with your thumb. Then you close it, okay? Then to load it, years ago we used to use what they referred to as a loose black powder. It was finely granulated, and you had to weigh certain amounts of your powder. Now, back in those days, you used to shoot anywhere from like 75 to 100 grains of powder. 100 grains of black powder is enough to take any deer and probably, I'm going to say elk and antelope. But you had to have a little powder measure, and you remember the little vials, like if you go to the hospital for blood work, they put your blood work in these little plastic or glass tubes. I used to get some of those, and I would pre-measure like maybe 5 or 6 of those vials with 100 grains of powder. Then it had a little rubber cup on the end of it that you kept the powder from coming out. Well, you carried those in your pocket. Well, then shooting the old muzzle loaders, you had to pour that powder directly down the barrel. Then you had to use some kind of a bullet, whether it was a round ball with a cloth patch, or whether you use like a sabot or something. And then you loaded the bullet right down the top of the barrel. Now, I've had tremendous success with the power belt bullets. This is a 245 grain, and it's for a 50 caliber. Now, it's got a little plastic cup on the back of it. And what that does is, as it's going down that barrel, that creates a tight seal. Now, when you load this, okay, I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to pretend I'm going to load it. Now, these pellets are actually not true black powder. They're synthetic. With black powder, the black powder was so corrosive, you pretty much had to clean your barrel after every shot. If you didn't, it was going to start fouling the barrel, and it would start oxidizing inside there, and it could ruin the barrel of your gun in no time flat. The new synthetics, like this is the old Pyrodex pellets. This is a 50 grain pellet. This particular muzzleloader is capable of shooting 150 grains and load without doing any damage. I shoot 100 grains. I've killed several hundred deer with 100 grains of Pyrodex pellets. Now, I don't have to worry at all about measuring them. That comes in these little plastic vials here. It's got a little pipe cleaner, and it's got a little hole right down the middle of the pellet. You just reach in there and you get your one, you put it down the barrel, and you will hear it slide all the way down and clunk when it hits the bottom. Now, I was working next to the Pyrodex company in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, at a booth at their Deer and Turkey Expo. And I was talking to the guy with Pyrodex. Now, you don't have to clean your gun near as often if you're using this type of synthetic black powder. Now, I usually like to shoot maybe 3 shots. If I'm sighting in, if this was a brand new gun, if I was sighting in, I would put my 100 grain pellets, which is 2 of these, down in the barrel. I would load my bullet in. I would take the ramrod, which is this right here. I would put it on there, then I would push that all the way down until it stopped, and you will hear it stop. Well, you don't want to crack it down there because you don't want to crush that pellet. You just run this ball all the way down with your ramrod until that bullet actually seats. What it's going to look like is going to look like just like what I'm going to show you here. Those 2 pellets, one's going to be on top of the other. Then you're going to put the bullet in the barrel and you're going to run it down with the ramrod until it stops right here. Okay? Then, now I've got a mark on my ramrod because it has happened that there's been guys that would load the gun and forget that it was loaded, and they would try to load it again, and then you're going to have trouble. You're going to blow out your barrel. I've got a mark right here, got it all inscribed all the way around through this black anodizing. When it's loaded and I put that rod down inside there, it'll go right to where that line is at the top of the barrel, and that way I know I've got this gun loaded. Well, then once I've got it loaded, I just put my ramrod back in there. I'm up in my tree stand. I pull the gun up to me. Now, I'm going to open this up. There's a little handle right here by the trigger. You see how that barrel broke open? Okay, then is when I'm going to put that 209 shotgun primer in that breech plug. I'm going to push it all the way in. I'm going to close it down, and you can hear it. You can hear it lock. Okay, that's locked in place. Now I'm going to be sitting up here in the tree stand. I'm either going to have my muzzleloader on my lap like this, or I've got a shooting rail up around my ladder stand. I will be resting that muzzleloader like that because the muzzleloader is a little bit heavy, and you don't want to get your arms tired. But I will sit there with that one ready. Now, the gun is not cocked. until I put my finger here. And as you can see, that is back there. That is in the fire position. Now, I never sit in my tree stand with my gun cocked until I actually see the deer approaching me. I might see them out in the field and I know they're not going to come to me. I wait till I've got the deer coming in my direction. Then I feel safe about cocking the gun. But I will not put my finger anywhere in the trigger guard until I'm actually ready to make my shot. If I look out there, let's say that deer's at 30, 35 yards, I'm ready to make the shot. Then I'm going to bring the gun up, put it against my shoulder. I'm going to look down through my telescope. I'm going to put the crosshair on it. Then I'm going to cock the gun. Now, if you cock that gun, maybe the deer turns and walks away from you. Okay, this does happen. I'm not going to sit there and leave that gun there, because I've seen guys accidentally put their hand in there and pull that trigger, and the gun will fire and they're not ready. All you got to do is take your thumb, put it on the hammer, reach in here and lightly pull the trigger and let that come forward slowly. Don't let it come forward fast or it is going to fire. Now, and I had wanted to have this segment up before the muzzleloader season come in. Now, what I'm going to do, I was talking to my cameraman earlier. Before the muzzleloader season starts in 2025, I'm going to bring this muzzleloader back in, and I'm actually going to show you how you take it apart, how you clean it, and know that gun's going to perform well. The thing about it is, it's just like anything else. If you take care of it, they're going to last you quite some time. Now this is a box of the primers. This is made by Winchester. Remington makes them. Several different companies makes them. I cannot honestly say that I prefer one over the other. A lot of times I will look and see which one, maybe they're on sale or something, and I'll buy a couple boxes of them. I can't remember. Okay, a box, there's 100 primers in there. Now, 100 primers should last you a long time. It depends a lot on how much that you practice and everything. But whatever you do, don't forget to keep your gun clean, keep it lubricated, and make sure if you've got one of these battery-powered scopes that lights up the reticle, make sure you've got those, got extra batteries for those. Muzzleloader hunting can be a lot of fun. Muzzleloaders are extremely accurate, and you can buy them just about any sporting goods stores. And which one's the best? Whichever one works for you. But like any gun, not all ammunition works well out of every gun. I've had guns in the past that, and I'm not endorsing any of these products, but I did have one gun that if I fired anything other than a Hornady bullet out of it, I could not get that gun to shoot accurately or group, no matter what I done. And I admit that I had bought some ammunition because it was on a clearance sale, and it's just like anything else. If it's on the clearance rack, it's there for a reason. They're trying to get it liquidated. They don't want it in stock. They're not selling it, so they're willing to take a little bit less money for it. But none of my guns that I've owned since that one particular gun, Hornady didn't work on. Now, the power belts, I've shot out of the last 5 or 6 muzzleloaders that I've owned. I've had tremendous luck with power belt. Pyrodex, and there's certain other companies that makes both artificial or synthetic propellant like that, and they all work pretty good. One thing that I do want to mention about the Pyrodex that I have not noticed on anything else. I had mentioned to you earlier that I had worked a booth in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, next to the guys that had the Hodgkin booth. And I know it's going to be difficult to show you, but I'm going to explain to you. On the Pyrodex, this is a 50 grain. I think you can get these in like 30, 35 grain and 50. Since I shoot 100 grain, I know 2 of these is 100 grains. Now, the the pellet itself is gray. If you look on one end, the top of it is gray. If you look at the bottom end, it's black. The reason for that, the black end is what they refer to as a hot end. This ignites quicker than what the charcoal gray does. Therefore, they recommend, if you're using the Pyrodex pellets, which I am, when you load it, you load it with the dark end down. You want the black end to go into the barrel first because that's the hot end. If you put it backwards, it will eventually fire, but it won't fire instantly. So I wanted to run that by. Okay, folks, well, that kind of sums it up, but if you've never muzzleloader hunted, a lot of the states now has got muzzleloader seasons added. It gives you a little extra more time to be out in the woods hunting. They can be extremely accurate. They can be easily maintained. Most of them you'll get a little DVD, and it explains to you how you do this, how you do that, and how you do this. I recommend cleaning it with some wet patches. Get a good quality black powder bore cleaner. Now, I'm not saying that it would work as well if you just use like a bore cleaner for a .22 rifle. It has to be associated with black powder and Pyrodex. And keep that barrel cleaned. The thing about this, when I take this apart, I can actually look down that barrel and hold it up to a light, and I can see if there's any dirt or buildup inside of that barrel. Run a couple wet patches down through there to get it pretty wet. Run a couple dry patches down. When that dry patch goes through there and it comes out pretty clean, that's what you're after. Then I'll take a patch that's lubricated with maybe like rim oil or some kind of a good gun oil. I will saturate that patch. I will run it all the way up and down through that barrel, and then I'll leave that oil set in there, and that will prevent any rust from forming on it. So once again, cleanliness is like godliness. You get you a muzzleloader, you take good care of it, it's going to serve you well for several years. And once again, it's just like whichever one works for you is the one to use. But take it out, try some different ammunition, figure out what that gun likes, and let it have it. Okay? So once again, I'm going to be coming back again before the next muzzleloader season opens. I'm going to actually disassemble my muzzleloader. I'm going to have all the patches and things that I use to clean it up. But this is just some of the things that you're going to need. You might just get you a ball starter. Now, another thing I would recommend that you get for your muzzleloader is get you one of these little bags that clips over your shoulder. Inside of this bag, I will carry my propellant, I will carry my ammunition inside of there. I will also carry my primers inside of there. Then I will normally, maybe even get you what they call a ball starter. It's just a little, like a little ramrod about that long. It's got a round ball on the end of it. You can start your ball in it and drive it down and then run it with your your ramrod. But with those power belts, those things start through your barrel much easier. You can put it up there with your finger and push it halfway in, and then just take your ramrod and load it up. Store your gun in a cool, dry place. I usually take a cleaning patch or maybe an old shirt that I had, and I'll cut a square and I'll fit it over the top of the barrel to keep any dirt from getting in there. But muzzleloader hunting is like everything else. If you want to get good at it, you got to use it and practice. So folks, I want to thank you for tuning in and visiting with me today. I hope my voice wasn't too scratchy, and I apologize for the drainage cough that I've got residual from this sickness, but I'm just happy to be back on the road again, and we'll see you in the road, see you in the woods. God bless you.